spiritually. We've invented mythology around it. We've imagined the gods live up there. We've written poetry and stories about it. But in the 50,000 years of our human history, only 12 of us have traveled beyond Earth orbit and walked on its surface. And more than 50 years have passed since we last made the trip in what was called the Apollo missions. And it was destiny and curiosity and our own human nature that made us go in the first place. And it's the same with fate and faith and that same curiosity that make us want to return. In an age which can feel increasingly divided, an international team effort is underway to take a new generation of astronauts back to the lunar surface. They are the Artemis generation, Artemis being the sister of Apollo. And they will undertake a series of missions that will orbit and eventually land at the moon's south pole.
The moon is not just a symbol of thinking about our place in the universe. It's not just a symbol of exploration. It's actually a beacon for understanding where we came from.
One of the things going to space teaches you is that we're all brothers and sisters. And when we work together to do really hard things, it just brings you together in a way nothing else will. This is woven into Artemis.
We have to evolve or we will cease to exist on this planet. And part of that evolution is truly working on solutions that make our planet better. Space is doing that.
When you look at Apollo, it was just an amazing coincidence of world events that led us to putting humans on the moon in 1969. And I think we were way ahead of our time.
President of the United States. We meet in an hour of change and challenge, in a decade of hope and fear, in an age of both knowledge and ignorance. The greater our knowledge increases, the greater our ignorance unfolds. No man can fully grasp how far and how fast we have come. But condense, if you will, the 50,000 years of man's recorded history in a time span of about a half a century. We know very little about the first 40 years, except at the end of them, advanced man had learned to use the skins of animals. Then about 10 years ago, under this standard, man emerged from his cage. Only 5 years ago, man learned to write. Christianity began less than 2 years ago. The printing press came this year. And then less than 2 months ago, during this whole 50-year span of human history, the steam engine provided a new source of power. Newton explored the meaning of gravity. Last month, electric lights and telephones and automobiles and airplanes became available. Only last week, we developed penicillin and television and nuclear power. And now, if America's new spacecraft succeeds, we will have literally reached the stars before midnight tonight. But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Look around you. Look at these faces. This is the pyramid of people who turned that choice to go to the moon into a reality. The work of almost 500,000 men and women for the better part of a decade, each of them determined that Apollo would not fail because of them. Driven by the knowledge that the world was watching, that failure was unthinkable, impossible.
If I were to say, my fellow citizens, that we shall send to the moon 240,000 miles away from the control station in Houston, a giant rocket more than 300 feet tall on an untried mission to an unknown celestial body, and then return it safely to Earth, re-entering the atmosphere at speeds of over 25,000 miles per hour, causing heat about half that of the temperature of the sun, almost as hot as it is here today, and do all this, and do it right, and do it first, before this dictate is out, then we must be bold.
I watched as they climbed into an elevator that carried them to their spacecraft at the top of the largest rocket ever built. It was the heaviest vehicle ever meant to fly, and it was packed with explosive power. So that if it were to fail on that 16th of July back in 1969, the disaster would mean that Apollo was just too bold a dream.
T-minus 1 minute, 35 seconds on the Apollo mission, the flight to land of the first men on the moon.
And therefore, as we set sail, we ask God's blessing on the most hazardous and dangerous and greatest adventure on which man has ever embarked.
For an internal power with the launch vehicle at this time. Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running.
Apollo 11, that gave us a magnificent ride. Roger, 11, we'll pass that on, and it certainly looks like you're well on your way now.
Growing up, I loved things that made me feel small. I loved looking at the night sky. I loved things that made me ponder this greater universe and my role in it. I was climbing trees to go look at the stars in my backyard. and, you know, seeking out little adventures of my own.
Look, I wanted to walk in space, but the closest I could get was in an above-ground pool, because we couldn't afford a real pool, so we had this plastic thing. It was only 3 feet deep, but I'd put a brick in the back of my swimsuit, and I'd use a garden hose to come over the top of the pool, and I'd stick it in my mouth so I could suck in air and stay down there. Sucking in air, though, with a garden hose, bottom of 3 feet is still, it's very hard work. So I'd lay there at the bottom of the pool, and I just let my limbs go loose, and they would float up just like with Ed White when he walked in space. And my brother would come out, see what I was up to, and he'd take the garden hose and he'd crimp off my oxygens. But still, this was a magical thing to do, because with just a little bit of imagination, hey, I was walking in space. I couldn't stop thinking about what the Earth must look like from up there.
As you eat breakfast, you look out the window and there's the Mediterranean area. Greece and Rome and North Africa and the Sinai. And you realize that in one glance, what you're seeing is the cradle of civilization. And you go down across North Africa and out over the Indian Ocean, and you look up at that great subcontinent of India, pointed down toward you as you go past it. Then Burma, Southeast Asia, out over the Philippines, and up across that monstrous Pacific Ocean. You never realized how big that is before. And you finally come up across the coast of California, and you look for those friendly things, Los Angeles and Phoenix, and there's Houston, there's home, and you identify with it. You look down there and you can't imagine how many borders and boundaries you cross, and you don't even see it. And from where you see it, the earth is a whole, and it is so beautiful. And a little later on, your friend goes out to the moon, and now he looks back and he sees the earth not as something big, where he can see the beautiful details, but now he sees the earth as a small thing out there. It is so small and so fragile, and such a precious little spot in the universe that you can block it out with your thumb. And you realize that on that little blue and white thing is everything that means anything to you. And you realize from that perspective that you've changed, that there's something new there, that the relationship is no longer what it was.
It took 4 days to reach the moon. And much like our own sailors of old crossing vast oceans, we navigated our way to the moon using a sextant by the position of the stars. Taking sightings off the brightest ones to triangulate our position in the cosmos. Stars that I could see from my own backyard with my 13-year-old eyes. The moon was always two things at the same time. It was a stranger to us. It had a shifting face. It appeared in different places in our sky, in a different shape in our sky, and yet it was as familiar as our next door neighbor. We saw it every night. So there was a combination of familiarity and mystery. And now we were seeing it up close for the very first time. You're 8 years old, you're 13 years old, you had that sense of yourself?
My personal story is I was inspired by the Apollo generation. I was interested in airplanes. I was looking at Encyclopedia A. There's an image of one astronaut on that page standing on the moon, and his burned in my brain. After that, I changed my treehouse into a spaceship, and I was going on space missions, and I was telling people I wanted to be a space explorer, and then I started watching missions and realizing this is possible.
It's July of 1969. It was a beautiful summer morning. I had just turned 13 and there was, about to watch human beings make an attempt to land on the moon for the very first time in our history. I was sitting on the floor in the living room in front of the TV from 12 noon on and on and on for hours. And I was telling everybody, shut up. I mean, the family, they got bored. They were coming in and out like it was just another summer day. Cutting watermelon and bringing groceries back from the grocery store. And I could figure out why they were not sitting on the couch watching history along with me. 3 men had left Earth just 4 days earlier, and now they had traveled all the way to the moon. They were in orbit, and 2 of them, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, had climbed into the lunar module, which was named Eagle, the craft that would take them down to the surface of the moon. They had left Mike Collins in the mothership, the command module, and that was named Columbia. And at the center of all this, playing continuously from Apollo's nerve center, were the voices from the nation's operations control room, which was in Houston, Texas, a space almost exactly the same size as the one we're in.
This is Apollo Control at 100 hours, 14 minutes. We will be doing the separation maneuver. During this, the lunar module should be undocked from the command and service module. We'll also be giving the crew on the lunar module a go, no-go. Hello, Eagle Houston, we're standing by, over. Roger, Eagle, that's done. Roger, how does it look? The Eagle has wings.
Every moment the astronauts were orbiting the moon 240,000 miles away had to happen in lockstep here in Mission Control. The spacecraft systems and trajectories were all tracked and analyzed by an army of engineers and scientists, any one of whom could call a halt to the landing if they saw a problem.
Eagle, we got you now. It's looking good, over. Okay, all flight controllers, go for powered descent. Retro, final, guidance, control, Telcom, NC, Ecom, Surgeon, Capcom, word go for powered descent.
Landing on the moon for the first time was a one-shot deal with a lot of unknowns, and we all knew that. But what we didn't know was how close they would come to failure.
Over. Accepting its guidance. 1202, standing by. 1202, retro. Go, retro. Throttle down. 6 plus 2. Reading on the 1202 alarm. We have another 1202 alarm. 1202, what's that? It's executive overflow. If there's not occurring yet, we're fine. We're going that flight. We're going that alarm. We're go. Same tight. We're go. Single alarm. Tell them to leave it alone and we'll monitor it, okay? 875 feet. That's looking good, down a half. Right. He's taking it up H now. We got another 12:02 on 60 seconds. 2.5 down. Big shadow. 4 forward. 4 forward, just into the right level. Contact light. Okay, engine stop. Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. Roger, Tranquility. We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot.
How easy these words are rolling off our lips now. Man on the moon, a walk on the moon. And yet to say the words and to stop just a moment to think about them still sends a shiver up and down the old spine. It's 9:35 Eastern Daylight Time, and that means that very probably, unless we hear otherwise, we will get word from the spacecraft that they tend to depressurize the cabin and open the hatch in about 15 minutes from now.
As the clock ticked down and it got closer and closer and closer to the moment where it was going to happen, he almost had no visual idea outside of artist renderings and simulations of what it was going to look like.
Tranquility Base, this is Houston. We request you open the TV circuit breaker at the present time.
And when it finally came on, this odd fuzzy black and white image, we couldn't make out what it was. Turned out the image was upside down and there's the ladder of the lunar module.
Okay, Neil, we can see you coming down the ladder now.
And there's Neil Armstrong climbing down it.
At the foot of the ladder, the lamp footbeds are only depressed in the surface about 1 or 2 inches.
You could see his helmet, and with a little bit of imagination, you could see the reflections in his gold visor.
I'm going to step off the lamp now. That's 1 small step for man, 1 giant leap for mankind. Beautiful view. Isn't that something? Magnificent sight out here. Magnificent desolation. Absolutely no trouble to walk around.
I knew that there was going to be that first footprint on the moon that was going to mark this watershed moment in all of human history, in the same way that some primitive version of humankind had left their footprints on the bank of a river somewhere, and the wet ashes solidified, and now it's lasted for millions of years. And we had just left the same kind of mark up on the moon.
Bill is now unveiling the facts. It says, "Airman from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon, July 1969. It came in peace for all mankind."
We were now a spacefaring civilization. We were like something that you saw in the movies. And knowing that we had accomplished this made me feel lucky to be alive. It was the first moonshot, and now that word has come to mean the doing of the impossible. Moonshots are magnificent human undertakings because going to the moon is not just a technological endeavor, it's an artistic one. It's like Michelangelo's painting of the frescoes on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. Just as he needed faith in his own abilities to sustain him during those long years, that entire process, so faith is at the heart of what it takes to put humans and their shoes and their socks on the surface of the moon.
And the fact that it was a human behind the lens that made that picture so profound and changed how we all thought of our own home was so amazing to me.
After the first moon landing of Apollo 11, there would be 5 more successful voyages to the lunar surface, and I paid attention to every one of them, aware of the changes that had occurred on my watch. And these were not landings just on the relatively safe sites around the lunar equator, like the Sea of Tranquility, the Ocean of Storms, the Fremora Highlands. These were flying complex trajectories that would land at sites named after Hadley and Descartes, in one place called the Taurus Littrow Valley. This was flying right into the moon's mountain ranges and its deepest canyons. Landscapes unlike anything that we have here on Earth.
Falcon Houston, you're going. Ryan, you're going. I can see the landing site from here, Charles.
Every one of those other missions to the moon was a 50-50 chance of disaster striking. And every one of the other missions to the moon attempted something more difficult than the one just prior.
Stand by. 10 feet. Contact. Roger, copy contact. We're on the surface. Okay. Hold around and finally here, Houston.
But why put those other 10 human beings out on the surface of the moon for longer and longer, run the risk of some tiny thing going wrong that then snowballs into the difference between life and death? Why do that? Because we're human beings. It comes down to it. But also is the question of curiosity. What else is out there that we haven't seen yet? What haven't we found?
Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. For an epic moment of my life.
The moon is a world frozen in time. It's untouched by the forces that constantly shape our planet. And there are clues there to the origin of the Earth, the moon, and every creature that's ever lived, including you.
Oh, man, what a rock out there!
Every time another one of those 12 human beings walked on the moon, something new was discovered.
Okay, we're ready to go to work deploying the experiment. That thermometer can sit over there, and the seismometer will strip a good flat plate.
We were carried to the moon on the shoulders of the giants, the pioneers of science, mathematics, physics. those who had come before us, who had imagined what the moon might be like. I mean, their experience and their curiosity, meticulous observations, measurements of nature had shown us the way.
One of the reasons we got here today was because of a gentleman named Galileo, and we thought that where would be a better place to confirm his findings than on the moon. Well, in my left hand I have a feather, in my right hand a hammer, and I'll drop the two of them here, and hopefully they'll hit the ground at the same time. How about that? Superb. Nothing like a little science on a moon, I always say. You've been out 2 plus 40, and you're running around 20 minutes behind.
Now, the Moonwalkers' time on the surface was scheduled down to the minute. Time was precious. But hey, they were human. And human beings can't resist playing around. Playing is how we often learn new things. And I've asked some of them, if you could have more time on the moon, what would you do? Al Bean told me that throwing something on the moon was just a joy. The gold packing foil he would throw and it would fly for hundreds and hundreds of yards.
Hey, I just threw something that hadn't hit the ground yet. It must have gone up 300 feet. Sorry.
Now, can you imagine having a day off on the moon? What would you do out there?
You know what I feel right now? You ever see those pictures of giraffes running in slow motion? That's exactly what I feel like.
I asked Gene Cernan of Apollo 17 what he did with his limited free time, and he said he looked off straight ahead into the inky void of the time-space continuum. We returned from the moon with rocks and memories and over 10,000 photographs. It's a treasure trove of information. And we are still studying them today. What's your motivation? Why returning to the moon on Artemis now, 50 years after the fact?
Because we're humans, and because it's what we do. If you put us in a box, we're going to want to know what's on the other side, around that corner. If you put us on a globe, stuck to it by gravity, we want to know what's up there, out there.
Traveling all the way to the moon was a huge achievement, yet when the astronauts arrived, their exploration was limited by how far they could walk. Now, the moon is larger than Europe, the US, China, and Brazil combined. And if we were ever going to find its secrets and treasures, we needed something to carry us further and faster. But how? Is that jetpacks? Is it vehicles with wheels? If so, what kind of wheels even work on the lunar surface? Eventually, they settled on an electric car. Now, isn't it astounding that an electric car was used on the moon 50 years before they caught on back on Earth. But not only was the lunar rover an electric car, it was a fold-out electric car that had traveled 250,000 miles in order to be driven for the first time. It was the very definition of an off-road vehicle.
For the hollow, when you're ready to drive, Dave, and I'll come out and take pictures. Okay, looks like the brakes are it. Versus steering, so let's see if I can unpit it. Okay, Dave, and buckle up for safety here. Okay, safety belt's on. We're moving. That max acceleration? Man, you are really bouncing. Is he on the ground at all? He's got about 2 wheels on the ground, and the big rooster tail out of all 4 wheels. And if he turns, he skids the back end breaks loose just like on snow. Okay, I have a lot of confidence in the stability of this contraption. Me too. Okay, Mr. Navigator. By the way, this is really a rock and roller ride, isn't it? That really gives me a strange feeling. Gives me a strange feeling too.
Apollo's astronauts were the first creatures ever to set eyes on these landscapes. With no atmosphere to convey distance and scale, it's hard to appreciate what we can see. That valley ahead of astronaut Dave Scott is a mile wide at the bend and deep enough to swallow the Empire State Building. Mount Hadley towers almost 3 miles above us, taller than Mount Fuji. And that little dot in the distance, that's their spaceship. Crystal clarity of everything in those photos was extraordinary. Why? Because there was no air, there was no oxygen, there was no dust between the lens and the subject.
Boy, it's really rolling hill, Joe. Up and down we go.
The photograph of a rock formation on the planet Earth is a photograph of the last 1,000 years or so of that rock formation, because water, wind, air has reshaped it. But a photograph of any rock from the Sea of Tranquility of the Taurus Littrow Valley is a photograph of a rock that has remained in place, that has not moved, since a volcano or an impact has shoved it into that new place. The dust has not been disturbed for billions of years. These panoramic photographs the astronauts captured for us only took a fraction of a second, a fleeting moment. But in this landscape, there are rocks dating from a time that is no longer preserved on Earth. We just had to find them. Going to the moon gave us the opportunity to collect clues about ourselves. Each moon rock is a time capsule, carrying stories about where we came from. They offer missing links to the deepest history of our own home, lost chapters from our past to bring home and read.
As you come around there, there's a rock in the near field on this rim. We'd like you to pick it up as a grab sample. Sure you want a rock that big, Houston? Oh, hey! Orange soil! Hey, it is! I can see it from here! Wait a minute, let me put my visor up. It's still orange. There's one boulder. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Very angular, very rough surface texture. It's got glass on one side of it with lots of bubbles. And it probably is fresh, probably not over in 3.5 billion years.
3.5 billion years. Think about that. That is deep time. It's humbling to hold something that old from a time when both the moon and the Earth were just oceans of molten rock, reborn from a giant planetary collision. Rocks from that time were what Apollo 15 specifically went to the Hadley Rill on the moon to look for.
Guess what we just found? I think we found what we came for. Crystal rock, huh? Yes, sir. You better believe it. Can you imagine that, Joe? You're sitting this rock and it's been here since before creatures roamed the sea on our Earth.
A moon rock might look gray on the outside, but under the microscope in the right light, the crystals come alive, each of them holding a story from the depths of time. And you know what? They are beautiful. The atoms in your body and those in these rocks were forged by the same stars. We simply borrow them from the cosmos for a few brief years before returning them at the end of our lives. Several astronauts and cosmonauts reached the ends of their lives all too soon, paying the ultimate price for their part in expanding our human horizons. And on Apollo 15, Dave Scott left a sculpture of a fallen astronaut and a plaque with 14 names on it to represent those lives that were lost. Going back to the moon, Artemis right now, is there an all-encompassing why?
If we look at Apollo, look at Space Station, look at Artemis, I think these are first steps of building permanent presence and then expanding that out to Mars and then getting out to the outer reaches of the solar system.
I did not realize at the time that Apollo 17 was the last mission to the moon. I got home from school, and there, perfectly on a color television set in the TV room, was Jack Schmitt and Gene Cernan walking on the moon in the Taurus Littrow Valley.
At 17, if you want to just take a minute, you might look up in the sky and notice that our camera's taking a beautiful picture of Mother Earth. Oh man, hey Jack, just stop, feel yourself 30 seconds to look up over the top to see and look at the Earth.
And then the TV camera tilted up and found the Earth and zoomed in on it. Now that shot, that little bit of reality, was showing all of us on the planet Earth. I wanted to run outside and jump around and wave my arms and see if by some chance I could be in that picture too. It was an extraordinary moment.
As the space poet Reisling would say, we're ready for you to come back again to the homes of men on the cool green hills of Earth. Thank you, Joe. We're ready too. But it's been great. Fabulous place up here. We ought to start moving out of here. Yeah, let's go.
There's a photograph on the moon. It's a standard photograph as you would take and in those days have developed and printed at the local drugstore. It was from the Charlie Duke family of Apollo 16. And he wrote on the back of this photograph, "This is the family of Charlie Duke from planet Earth, who landed on the moon." And they all signed it. And they put their thumbprints on the back. We went to the moon as a family, a human family. And going further demands we go together. It takes our collective ingenuity and courage and stamina to accomplish, and that's our greatest strength. When you next look up and see the familiar moon, remember this valley, the last site we, humanity, visited on that place in our sky.
Take your final look at the valley as towards Central. We're 50 seconds now and we're go. Proceeded 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Right away, Houston. What I believe history will record that America's challenge of today has forged man's destiny of tomorrow. And if we leave the moon and Taurus Littrow, we leave as we came, and God willing, as we shall return, with peace and hope for all mankind.
Above all, I think Apollo was a voyage of inspiration. The thing that still fuels me in my day-to-day life, and what I want to convey to my kids and my grandchildren and to all of you, is that if humankind can figure out a way to put 12 of us on the moon and bring them back safely to Earth, then honestly, we can solve anything.